Look at these beautiful tags we're going to make, and one lucky subscriber is going to take. Come, paint and play along for your chance to win. I am using 140-pound watercolor paper, and at the end of the video you're going to see that I'm able to use these as original to make sets. And one lucky subscriber will win their own set of tags on December 15th on a YouTube Live by random draw. Taping isn't my favorite part, but it's necessary to have some sort of uniform product at the end. So I did use a ruler, and each one was about 2 3/8 inches wide. My main inspiration for these tags came from Michelle at the Creative Cove. I found her YouTube channel and it was just amazing. She flows with such freedom and ease, and I struggle with that, but she's really inspired me. This top part is necessary to create the tag look at the end, so I went back and secured that, and at the end you'll see that these create necessary edges. My sketches, they are totally inspired by other creators or pictures that I found on the internet. I look at something and then I'm inspired and then I try to recreate it. That's why you have what you have today from the Creative Cove. Watch Merami Small Art, Diane, Antone, and Kristi. I have spent hours absorbing their material, and this is my product today. Most of the young content creators that I do listen to, however, I know are fans of classic rock, because somewhere in every single one of their videos, I hear them asking everybody to like, share, and subscribe. I came up with a great idea to play a game during the video. So not only at the end will you have a great product, but if you are one of the first 25 people to watch it to the end and have the right answer, I'm going to be sending you something in the mail that I've made just for you. When it's time to ink your drawings, the main thing is make sure that your ink is permanent. We will be erasing over the top of it. We will be painting, adding water, and so it has to withstand. It has to be permanent. I've now inked over the drawings very loosely. I want to keep it very free feeling and not perfect. These are 18 drawings, sketches that I have completed. Shout out again to Michelle at the Creative Cove. Some pictures I've looked at and have loved, and others I just let come from my heart. Here's a list of some materials I use. Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I have some permanent ink pads in black and Prussian blue by VersaFine and Palette. I use Tim Holt's ink refill for his vintage photo. I love that color. Two of my favorite stamps are a postmark and a splatter stamp. And what project do I ever use without a script stamp? And then I have a few other favorites, and you probably have your own. My main medium is watercolor, so I use several size brushes. I have size 6, 10, and 12 round brushes. I use a fan brush. Two of my favorites are from Kristi, and I've got some more on the way by Diane Antone from Craftimo. And then I have some metallic watercolor paint by Master's Touch. But the most important thing today is bring you. Bring your presence. Bring your passion. Bring your personality. And this brings us to Twiggy. Look for him throughout the video, see how many different places you see him hiding, and in the end, you might win your very own painting of Twiggy. I start with using Prussian blue on my splatter stamp. The goal is to be creative. It's to be brave. It's just to get that onto the paper, onto those tags. And I tend to try to overthink many times. I watch Michelle and she just creates. She's just doing it. She's just brave. And so that's what I try to do. I also know that you can't just fall in love with your first layer, because there is going to be a lot of other work put on top of it, a lot of creating. This is just your base layer. So just let yourself have fun at this point. Now I'm using the postage stamp. It's one of my very favorite stamps. You can use it on anything. I'm a thinker and sometimes I hesitate. It's not that I don't want to just do it or make the commitment. Overthinking isn't my friend here. Eventually, I get it all on the paper. The beauty of this process is the layering, though. It's what, in the end, makes it so magnificent. So just be free with this and let this be a part of the whole. As I'm applying this last stamp, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I taught school for 40 years, special education, loved every minute of it, but I retired last May. And so I find myself here in retirement wanting to share another passion. And so I've started this little YouTube channel and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Now the fun part, mixing some paint, starting to do the watercolor. So I started with blue. I wanted to find that kind of icy, snowy blue color. So I just had to mix and add some white until I felt like I had it. And then you might say, where do you put the blue? And my answer is yes. I use the heated craft tool from Ranger to dry between layers because if I don't, the colors tend to go together and get muddy. So I take the time to use my dryer and dry each layer. Now, I want to see, have you been paying attention? You haven't lost track of Twiggy yet, have you? The next color I mixed was green. I'm using the Mungyo 48 pan set of professional watercolors. I love them. I got them when I was taking art classes with Maya's Art Beat, and I learned a little bit about mixing colors in that class. So I am learning how to express myself better, how to just get the paint on the page. Not so much, I'm not trying to stay inside of lines. I am trying to put the green where the green would be. But as I went along, I became more free with it. And I just started laying the paint down and letting it be an expression versus a painting. At this point, I'm going to add some blue to that green tone. Remember, when you're painting with watercolor, it always dries much lighter than it looks when you're painting. In watercolor, you are painting light to dark. So you're having to build, you're having to create depth. So on this, you're just adding that blue tones and you're just getting it down on the paper. Don't worry about those sketches. It looks like they're being lost. We're going to come back and we're going to darken those up in a little bit. But right now, just let yourself get that paint on the paper and have a good time doing it. Did I mention we were going to finger paint? So there's not a time when I'm doing a painting or mixed media art in my art journal, my grid journal, that I don't eventually get my fingers in the paint and get it on the paper. It makes a really neat effect if you get your finger full of paint and push it on that paper. Try it. I think you'll like it. So now it's time for red. I wanted a little bit deeper, more thoughtful red, so I added some green. I had to be careful because mixing too much green makes it muddy, makes it brown. So I just played with it and I just mixed it until I felt like I had the perfect shade for what I was doing. Now we're going to be adding our Distress ink from Ranger for the Vintage Photo stamp pad. It's the refill. So I drop a few drops into the bowl and I add water. I just dilute it down. This is what brings us the grounding and earthy tone. So this, yeah, this is rich. This is good. Just add it. I think this is my favorite part because I really am doing it without trying to figure out what I'm doing. I just add it, and every single time I put it on the paper, I love it. It just brings such an earthy, grounding quality to it. And I love vintage. To me, it's bringing that vintage feel onto every single tag. I tried to figure out a way to get a song in here without getting a copyright claim, so I'm just going to do the part that goes, "Let's go, show me some respect." I'd love to sing the rest of that song, but I'm not going to put you through that. What I did do was use the metallic watercolor from Master's Touch from Hobby Lobby, $6.99, 40% off, not a bad deal. What I learned was too much water and you lose the shimmer on your paper. So it's time to add some black. Black is actually the absence of color. All colors are absorbed and there is no light reflecting back. So there are actually shades of black. It's called off black. So to add another color to it is actually enriching that color. So I added some green to the black so that there would be more of a richness to it. I went back through and darkened some areas, added some greens, of course a little finger painting here and there, just to make it interesting. Now it's time to go back over your sketches again with permanent ink. There are so many pens to choose from. I use the ones that I showed earlier from Joann's Fabrics. They're all alternatives, pigment liners. I have used Paper Studio Micron pens. I've even used a Plano Sharpie. The one I end up using the most is one that I got from a garage sale for $1, and they're just called a chisel tip calligraphy marker, and I end up using the very corner. It seems to give me the best results. Going back over them, you can remember that this is very loose and free. Nothing is precise. That's what gives it the ending feel of, I think, freedom, that loose look, that vintage feel. So just allow yourself to have fun and make sure you bring those lines back to the top, because that's what we're looking for. This process is splattering your page. You need to dilute your blue-black, fill up a brush, and tap it with another brush. I wish I had a more close-up view of this because the splatter makes all the difference. Ask me, does splatter matter?
Yes!
This is a point in which I just begin to do this by heart. I get my fingers in the paint. I just start seeing what I feel it needs, putting it on the paper, and letting it happen. This is very much an expression of my emotions and a release. You know what? I think it's good therapy. And honey, no matter what you've spent on supplies, it's cheaper than therapy, and you don't need an appointment. Moving towards completion, I get my Distress Ink Vintage Photo stamp pad and the blending tool, and I get it good and saturated, and I begin to rub on the edges of those tags, because when that tape comes off, I want a very strong edge. It's going to look amazing. It even gives the paper an almost leather look. It's time for Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. You know what it does? You mix it with some water, you put it on that fan brush, and you start splattering Christmas spirit all over your project. Look at it. It brings it to life. You cannot go wrong with this. It's beautiful. Well, it's time. I'm excited. Are you ready to start removing the tape? I am. So, removing that tape, do it slowly. If at some point you find that it is not removing well, there is a trick that I've learned that I want to share with you, and that is to get your heat tool, and you can put that heat underneath that any place that's trying to stick to the paper, or you can preheat it on the top. Because if you do that, look how well those edges come up. So you can do that, get that tape off. It's pretty exciting. So for me, there's nothing quite like this moment of the reveal, of removing that tape and seeing each individual tag that I've created, every layer, every stamp, every spatter. It has created an individual piece of art in every single tag. So I'm going to slow down for a second and let you look at them in real time. Let you see the beauty of what's been created. I hope that you have done this along with me, because somehow my desire is to see the things that you've created from this inspiration. You thought we were finished, but these last touches are what's going to make the difference in your project, having that exquisite it factor. You're going to go around the edges of each tag very loosely, but with the strong black outline. Now use your micron pen to go around the outside of those strong edges with a very light, free touch, creating the illusion of light, airy, delicate threads. My friend Rebecca encouraged me to work smarter, not harder. So I took my originals to a local print shop, Mattock's Printing in Moore, Oklahoma. They spent time with me. They scanned. We went through paper, and they were able to print copies of the originals. Aren't they beautiful? You cannot tell the difference. The only way is that I had to shrink these very slightly, but the stock of the paper, the quality is great. So I'll be finishing up with these, edging, punching the hole, putting the eyelet in. But I had a greater idea. On December 15th, I am going to put into a random draw live on YouTube on December 15th every name of every subscriber that I have. And with that random draw, you will receive your very own set of 18 beautiful tags. I am going to put the tag in, just kind of eyeball it. It pokes a hole. Then you set that eyelet inside. Switch the setting. Place that right down on top of it. Press down firmly, and it sets your eyelet. Then the last step will be taking the jute rope or whatever waxed jute that you have. I thread them through. I tie a knot, and I have a finished product. I have a tag that can go on a gift, that can go on a tree. It's just what a great process and fun time this has been. What is that? Twiggy? You sneaky little snowman. I hope you had as much fun finding Twiggy as I had in hiding him. So the winners will be the first 25 people with the correct answer. What was your favorite hiding place of Twiggy, and how many times, including this time, did you see Twiggy hiding up my sleeve? From the beginning of the video to the very ending of the video. I'll be sending out 25 copies of my painting of Twiggy. I hope you're one of them. He made it through without a meltdown. Did you? Don't forget to tune in on December 15th for one subscriber's random draw to win their set of tags. It's been fun. Thanks. I hope you like, share, and subscribe. I don't know the words of this song because I'm old. Around the edges, because what I want is when that paper, when those I thank God every day. Oh Lord.